Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Coming up tonight, a triple shooting in the capital last night. The government is making sure our ports are secure. Believe it or not, the pandemic helped the real estate industry. Welcome to our News Weekend Edition, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Megan Shepard. Topping news tonight, what began as a domino tournament in the Millers Heights community yesterday ended in a triple shooting. Police arriving around 8 p.m. last night to find all 3 victims wounded from gunfire.
A male and a female. Emergency medical services were summoned, and assessing the victims, 2 of the males were initially taken to the hospital, suffering from wounds to their heads. And as we understand it at this moment, they're in the trauma room and their conditions are not known at this time. And the 3rd person, which is a female, was later taken. She was coherent and appeared to have suffered minimal injuries as a result of the projectiles.
Initial investigations by police provided the grim details and insight into the crime.
A lone gunman came to a gathering where persons were gathered, enjoying themselves, armed with a firearm. He discharged that weapon at an initial individual, and following that he then continued to discharge the weapon at the individuals who were gathered. 2 of the 2 males ended up getting shot and were subsequently taken to the hospital. We do not know the motive for this incident at this time. However, our officers are collating their information as they canvass the area, speak with the witnesses who were present.
A resident of that community who was on the scene telling our news that the games began around midday, and it was after nightfall when the organizer told everyone it was time to pack up that the shooting started.
All I hear was pow, 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 pow. And everybody said, get down, get down. And when I come out and I run over to my car, and when I look, I see 2 bullets and the lady was on the ground. And then another gentleman was here, and the gentleman was over there. So there was 3 of them on the ground. Yeah. So the gentleman here, he got shot many times because the car come from that, from that's the north side. And they stop and they come out and they shoot him a few more times, and then they speed up and gone.
March is recognized annually as Police Month, and this morning officers of the Royal Bahamas Police Force throughout the country took part in a wreath-laying ceremony and a church service. Divisions from Abaco in the north to Inagua in the south connected virtually via Zoom, first paying respects to fallen officers. Here in New Providence, the wreath-laying ceremony was held at the Memorial Gardens at Police Headquarters. From there, officers made their way to the annual church service held at the Golden Gates World Outreach Ministries. In wake of the international disarray between global world powers, the Bahamas government is taking precautionary measures in making sure port facilities are secure in the event of emergency. Minister of Transportation and Housing, JoBeth Colby Davis, recently announced the Bahamas International Ship and Port Security Compliance Unit will conduct a national exercise on March 10th to test and evaluate the country's capability to respond to incidents affecting multiple international port facilities in the Bahamas.
As the Minister of Transport and Housing, I am fully aware of the role that international port facilities play in sustaining and growing our economy. I also understand the far-reaching impact that security breaches and deficiencies can have on our country's reputation. Therefore, we must ensure that our port facilities are in a continuous state of readiness to handle any emergency.
The port controller and head of the ISPS compliance unit, Senior Lieutenant, says the most recent dry run exercise, though a success, highlighted a number of concerns going forward.
In previous exercises, normally is communication challenges and resource challenges. So those are 2 of the things that we would have noted in previous exercises.
Some deficiencies were viewed during that dry run yesterday. However, it gives us now 9 days to correct all of those deficiencies. And on D-Day, I think it's going to be a very successful exercise.
Still to come on our News Weekend edition, PAHO addresses a mental health crisis connected to COVID-19. And police are out on the streets in droves. Just what are they doing? Stay tuned and we'll tell you.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
You're watching our News Weekend edition. Welcome back. In the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic, the global prevalence of anxiety and general depression increased by 25%, according to regional health experts. Locally, the situation was no different, as Bahamians battled a job furlough, losses, and restrictions on civil liberties. Christina Dragovich has more.
The greatest increase in depression and anxiety were found in places that were highly affected by COVID-19, where infection was high and movement was restricted.
The Bahamas was one of those countries under strict lockdowns and curfews over the past 2 years. Bahamians lived under more than 500 days of restrictions when COVID emergency orders were in place. PAHO Director Dr. Carissa Etienne says women were impacted more severely than men.
Females were more affected than males, and younger people, especially those aged 20 to 24 years, were more affected than older adults.
The mental health of essential workers, especially healthcare workers, was impacted by the pandemic when they may have found themselves facing exhaustion, loneliness, and a positive COVID-19 diagnosis, leading to an increased risk of experiencing suicidal thoughts.
We are especially focused on the impact on our healthcare workers, who really have suffered unprecedented burdens in caring for people with COVID-19, and in many cases, not being able to save them. And while at the same time, taking care of households and dealing with the fear of infecting their families.
Earlier this year, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville said government would introduce amendments to the Mental Health Act to support those in need of help. Reporting for our news, I'm Christina Dragovich.
While the pandemic significantly impacted a number of industries over the past 2 years, it seems it may have had the opposite effect on the housing market here at home. Our Sasha Lightbourne speaks to a real estate expert and has this story.
The real estate business has been really good, according to real estate agent Matt Sweeting, who explained that despite the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic, the housing market apparently remained afloat. We caught up with Sweeting at a relatively new housing development in western New Providence called Villanova.
And so 2021, I'll start there, was the absolute best year in real estate history. We've seen remarkable numbers on high and lower end. Being driven by people's desire and demand for their own real estate. The trends that we've been seeing is this younger demographic, and again, the demographic that had a considerable interest in a Prospect Ridge community, for example, want income-producing properties, right? And I think what the pandemic really brought to the fore was the fact that people want to own their own real estate. If you were renting, it really brought to the fore that these people had a little bit more security than people who were renting.
Sweeting also shared his views on the Prospect Ridge development, noting that those who applied should not be discouraged.
All is not lost for those people that were looking to purchase in Prospect Ridge. There are some tremendous opportunities out here, this being one of them, that they might be able to buy a condo, they might be able to get something from a repossession. And there are some exceptional deals out there that they could make their own and still achieve their dream. Maybe not as in a good area as in a good of area as Prospect Ridge, but there are comparable deals out there.
He says there are many lessons to be learned as well.
Among the demographic that they were attending to satisfy, there's a huge demand for housing, right? People want land in great areas, right? And so I think one of the things the government might consider is creating quasi-government partnerships where they are partnering with developers, maybe even similar to developers like this, that are willing to provide the same concessions that they were going to provide in their own development for private communities.
Reporting for our news, I'm Sasha Lightbourne.
When our news comes back from the break, weather and sports are still in the queue. And Pelican Bay donates to the Rand Memorial Hospital. We have the details when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
In an act of kindness, officials from Pelican Bay Resort in Grand Bahama donated an assortment of blankets and sheets to the Rand Memorial Hospital. And this isn't the first time. Pelican Bay Financial Controller Patricia Brown says donations are a part of their corporate responsibility, and the resort will continue to give back to those in need.
Pelican Bay is very cognizant of our corporate responsibilities to the community, and wherever we can make a difference, we will always try to meet the mark. Together with the rest of the community, we are going to get Grand Bahama's economy back on track.
Acting Administrator for Grand Bahama Health Services, Sandra Mortimer Russell, accepted the donation on behalf of the Rand Memorial Hospital, noting that Pelican Bay remains one of the best corporate citizens in the nation's second city.
You are truly one of our strategic partners, and our patients, as you know, when you're hospitalized, the hospital is very cool, and especially our elderly patients, we are most grateful. So on behalf of our patients who will benefit from these blankets during this chilly season, along with the warmth from our healthcare providers' hearts, we say sincere thank you, and we look forward to your continued support from this great organization.
Still to come, our Marcellus Hall is up next with sports, and it's Police Month. To be ticketed or not? That's the question, and that's coming up when our News Weekend Edition returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
Welcome back to our News Weekend Edition. Still breezy outside, but the sun will come out. Let's take a quick look at weather. And now here's our Marcellus Hall with the latest in sports.
Welcome to our Sports Sunday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. The Bahamas Basketball Federation getting some good news this week, as Hennessy, the official spirit of the NBA, will become a gold sponsor of the Bahamas Basketball Federation as they look to assist the organization's long-term goals of growth and sustainability. The nation was recently announced at a special gathering between executives of the BBF Hennessy Bahamas and Commonwealth Brewery. On hand was BBF President Eugene Horton, who talked about this being a big news, a big deal, as he said the core values of our athletics, being the Bahamas basketball community, are one of the things that certainly will now be helped.
I came to Bahamas just also to celebrate that it's a very important country for us. We have a long history of being in the culture of Bahamas, and I think about one specific product, by the way. It's called Pure White. Has been launched here 22 years ago, and it's everything started in that place. And not only that, but the ratio of the number of cases we sell per capita, it's huge. In fact, Bahamas is a champion for us, a champion.
And that's your look at sports here on this Sunday. I'm Marcella Saul. Back to you.
March is recognized as Police Month. It's usually a time when the public gets insight into the work police do. But here's what a lot of motorists don't know. Not every police stop ends in a ticket. Our Tanya Smith-Cartwright took a team out to sea, and what she found surprised us all.
On any given day, the officers of the Fox Hill Division are on the streets observing and at times stopping motorists. A stop can even result in a driver being ordered out of the vehicle. A police stop on the Eastern Road gave our news team quite a surprise.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is ASP Jennings. I'm from the Fox Hill Division. This is my boss, Mr. Mark Barrett. We noticed this morning that you were adhering to all traffic laws. You were driving really safe. What we do is we don't always stop people for infractions, but we always also stop them to show them our appreciation for driving safe on the roads of Nassau. This morning I want to present to you a Safe Drivers Award for adhering to those laws.
Our news van wasn't spared a routine police stop either. Chief Superintendent Mark Barrett let us off after he found no offenses. No awards were given to us either, but he was gracious enough to give us this interview instead.
This particular initiative is a part of the whole initiative set forth by the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Paul Roll. As you mentioned, this is Police Month, and so this is something that we had on our agenda for quite some time now. And so what we want to do, rather than citing road traffic users for traffic infractions, we actually want to cite them for being safe drivers and using and adhering to the road signs and protocols in a safe manner. And so we are awarding them a Safe Drivers Award. I think it's fantastic. It makes road users aware of road safety.
Motorists were visibly anxious when initially stopped and pulled over. But now imagine their reaction when they realized they were being awarded.
How do you feel getting an award as opposed to a ticket this morning?
It's quite a surprise, and thank you.
Good stuff. March is Police Month, and motorists in the Eastern Division are getting a surprise today. Instead of being ticketed, they are awarded for safe driving. Imagine that. For our news, this is Tanya Smith-Cartwright.
So remember to drive safely and keep a lookout for your friendly neighborhood ticketers. That's a wrap for us this evening. We thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard. Have a wonderful evening.